Welcome to the On Point Podcast, a channel dedicated to helping you be the best hunter you can be. On Point is designed to help motivate and inspire you to get more out of yourself and your gear during your next hunt. If you're looking for information that will directly impact your success and help inspire you to go on new adventures, whether you're hunting with a bow or a rifle, On Point is the channel for you. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Me and my dad recorded an episode driving home from our Idaho mule deer trip where we both had rifle tags in our pockets. We recap how the trip went. We talk about how awesome it was to hunt out of state for the first time together and to hunt together for the first time in a long time, way too long, both having tags in our pockets. It was really cool, great to spend time with him, and I'm really excited to bring you guys him onto the podcast so you can see who I got to learn from growing up for the most part. So thank you, Dad, for coming onto the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. As always, leave a 5-star review. I do have some really cool giveaways coming around the corner. We have some On Point stickers, hats, decals, all on their way, a website that's getting built right now. And just really excited to be able to bring some gear to the folks that want to wear it and show others that they're on point with their hunting. So that is coming around the corner. Be sure to leave a 5-star review. Get yourself entered some of these giveaways on iTunes. You can also subscribe to the podcast, now on Spotify as well. And for announcements, that's it, guys. Let's get into the podcast. I'll talk to you in the end. Bye. So this is a podcast with me and my dad. I'm actually driving back from our Idaho trip. So welcome on to the podcast. Dad, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm his dad, Mike, making him drive back because he made me walk too far.
What do you see?
Looks like they're looking at elk or something.
Oh, right on. So this is a trip that has probably been long overdue. Like, already on the way back, we already said, I wish we would have done this sooner. Like, why did we wait so long to finally go out of state for mule deer? And, I expected to see a lot of bucks, a lot of big bucks and stuff like that. You always expect the best and hope for the best. But it was a great hunt. I mean, it was way harder than I was expecting it would be. The train kind of kicked both of our butts. And knowing now, guys that are hunting it more efficiently are using ATVs and horseback, and we're using our legs.
Yeah.
So, but why don't we go over what happened, how it was, and just kind of give an idea of what it was like.
Yeah, a lot different country than what we're used to, and a lot bigger country.
Yeah, you grew up hunting Eastern Oregon with your dad, and then you've taken me and Gavin back to the same spot. So, kind of a generational hunting spot over in Eastern Oregon, which rolling hills, rimrock, lots of junipers and sage and open country. This was pretty steep, lots of finger ridges, lots of fairly steep cuts, and I would say not really canyons, but really steep, just gullies, I guess you'd say, valleys.
They were deep holes. Let's just put it that way. And like a lot of the roads were blocked off, you could actually walk. You had to walk. You couldn't take ATVs in there, but you could take horses.
Yeah, and some of them were open to ATVs as well. But for guys like us, that was like heaven, because you're not going to get some guy on a 4-wheeler if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. You're able to get out and hunt and then compete with people on your own level, doing the same thing you are. And we saw people. One thing that I know now about Idaho, and mad respect for guys that live in Idaho and hunt Idaho, is that they are legit getting out and hunting. Like, if you hunted like we did over in Oregon, you would have got away from people. In Idaho, it didn't really matter where you went. Guys were getting out and hunting just as hard as we were. Like, even 5 miles in, there was guys coming up the backside of where we were hunting. It was incredible. Like, everywhere you see, everybody was walking. Road hunting wasn't really even a possibility because you couldn't see enough because it was so steep. Just really cool to see people getting out and hunting, and the amount of effort that people were putting in. It was really cool.
Yeah, and I never thought I'd see a need for waders when you're mule deer hunting, but apparently that's standard equipment.
Right. There's this chunk of land we wanted to hunt behind this private, and these guys walked in the backside of where we were hunting, and I'm thinking, there's no way they got in here without crossing the river. I'm like, there's no way. And so we drive around about an hour, and we find a truck parked along this spot of the river, and we were like, they're probably fishing. And then, no, I think they crossed the river. I'm like, man, just people getting after it. And it was really cool to see. It was really refreshing, people seeing, because like I said, in Oregon, you get a lot of the opposite end of the spectrum, a lot more road hunting. The terrain that will actually allow for it where we hunt, but just really cool, beautiful, beautiful country. Made me want to move to Idaho. But so we got general seasons tags. Let's get into this. We got general season tags for rifle, which you filled yours, right?
Yeah, after we passed up a couple, and then
I didn't fill mine, but I'm not really worried about it because I'll be going back with my bow in hand for when the big bucks are rutting. But let's go over. So we left on Thursday, the 25th, right?
Yeah, about 2 o'clock or a little later. And
yep. And got over there at 1:30 in the morning, and I had all these spots, and you'd even called a biologist too with me in the truck as we're going to a meeting, and got this area and confirmed that there's a lot of deer there and a lot of hunting pressure, lots of hunting pressure. But if you get out and hike, you can probably get away from people, and so we had a place where we knew we were going to go. And I scouted it on Go Hunt and scouted it on Onyx Maps, and I had hunts plot, little areas that I had like bordered for where were like islands of land that had no roads around it. And so we go right there, and we get up to them like the gate's going to be right up here, or the road that we're going to hunt is going to be right up here. It was like tent city, right where we went. So I was thinking, well, man, either I'm really good at picking spots or I am just as good as everybody else, and they're picking the same spots, So that didn't really pan out, and we pretty much, I think we woke everybody up in that camp at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah. But they were Californians there, so,
So, but, so now we're 1:30 in the morning. We don't know where we're going to camp, so eventually we find a spot, and actually, did we sleep in the truck that night?
We slept in the truck that night.
We did.
In a turnaround, and we couldn't lay the seats back because of all the gear, and so I'd hesitate to call it sleep, but we stayed in the truck.
And then we got up and hunted that big trail system that no one was really hitting like we were. Turns out that big tent city was hunting the area, but they were walking up a steep ridge that eventually got up into where we were hunting, but we were getting up so early that we were beating everybody up there by at least an hour. We were walking by 6:15 usually.
Yeah, 6:05 most of the mornings.
Every day, and most people weren't even getting out of bed until 7:30.
Of course, it didn't get daylight till 7:45, shooting light till 7:45.
Yeah, maybe close. Yeah, 7:45, 8 o'clock. You want to be where you want to be at 7:45. And immediately we start seeing deer. There's deer all over the place, and I'm just excited. I'm, taking pictures. I'm frantically glassing, trying to find the first buck of the trip. And long story short, we see you spotted the first, I think, set of hunters.
Yeah.
And then we find a hunter coming up the road behind us. And, almost for like the first half hour, I thought we did it. We got away from hunters. There's deer everywhere. We successfully e-scouted, picked a spot on a map, executed it, and we have this beautiful area, canyons, just gorgeous country, lots of deer, all to ourselves. And then about that time, reality hit that you're still hunting public lands, and here come the other hunters.
But not before we'd already spotted a nice little buck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'd say within the first half hour, we already had a buck that I wasn't going to shoot, that you probably would have shot if you would have figured out how nice he was. He was a nice 3-point. But neither of us ended up shooting him. And I think the guy behind us actually probably ended up shooting at him or killed him. I'm not sure. But so we're in deer almost from the get-go, and we're 2 miles in, right? And it's at that point, it's literally 100% uphill 2 miles in. And so we continue out this road and constantly using the Onyx maps and trying to get away from those people that are coming up farther up the ridge. And I think let's fast forward to, 1:30 on that first day?
Yeah.
I glass up a beautiful buck, not big or anything, 145, 150, 4-point, about 21, 22 inches wide is what I'd put him at.
Yeah.
He keeps growing in your mind.
He keeps growing in my mind. I'm thinking he's 160.
And I'm sitting there debating whether I'm going to shoot him, and that's a shooter buck for Dad all day long. He's just there for more for the meat, and I've already got a pretty full freezer, and I can be a little bit more picky, and I didn't want to end my tag that soon, anyways. But anyways, I talked myself into putting a stock on him, and it had been. Let me revert back a little bit. It's been a while since I've rifle hunted. It has been a few years since I've actually had my own rifle tag in my own hands. And so I'm not giving the deer enough respect. I'm not giving the stock enough respect. I'm just going to go get within 300 yards and shoot that thing. Well, we come up with this with two ideas to stalk this buck. One, to go down the canyon because he's just below a spine on the same ridge that we're on, but he's 711 yards away, and that's too far for me to be shooting. So there's one canyon a little bit of ways across that you could have walked up the other side of that other spine, got within 300 yards across canyon shot, or you could walk down the spine, get out of his sight, and come up on that same spine and shoot him from about 200 yards. So I choose the first scenario, and then the second scenario we came up with right before I left. I'm like, no, let's stick with the first one. I'm just no sense making it harder than it needs to be, and I have a gun, and well, the wind hits me in the back, and really hard, probably a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind. I mean, and I'm towards the bottom of the canyon, so it's ripping. Well, I get farther up, and immediately I'm like, man, I should probably back out, but I'm like, I think I could probably beat his smell, my smell before I get within range. So I'm just going to roll the dice on there. And long story short, we have a video of him winding me and followed by a quick exit.
I think actually the doe winded you probably. And
yeah.
Dang near jumped on him and jumped him up.
That's true. And they hung around for a little bit after they jumped up, and then they left. And I came out almost right on top of that buck. I ended up going too far. And I bet they winded me way before. I mean, you said they jumped up 10 minutes before I even got to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew you were there, and then they milled around a little bit and went into a deep hole. Deep hole.
Never to be seen again. We hunted that buck for another 2 or 3 days. 2 days?
2 days.
And we never saw him again. He was gone. But long story short, it was just silly mistakes. Like, I made silly rookie mistakes. I completely ignored the wind because I had a rifle in my hands. I'm like, I don't need to pay attention to the wind. I could shoot it, I was just trying to justify it the whole time, too. I was like, I knew it hit me in the back, but I'm like, well, I don't know what the wind's doing over by the buck, Like, that wind could be blowing a different direction. I was just trying to justify it and just didn't give the stock enough respect and just played it way too aggressive and just made a rookie mistake. And another mistake that I also made on that hunt is I thought my magazine was loaded, but it had a full magazine. And I wasn't walking around with one in the chamber. I was just walking around with a full mag. And later I found out that I was walking around with no bullets in my gun. So it was just silly mistakes like that. And, if he would have been a big buck, I would, I'm still pissed. I'm really pissed. I not because I spooked that buck off, but because I made such silly mistakes. Like, you've been hunting long enough to know the wind's at your back blowing that hard. You're going to get busted. Even on a buck like that, it doesn't have to be an old buck to be that smart when they're that pressured. He was probably a 3.5 to 4, 4-year-old, 4.5-year-old buck.
He would have been a good blacktail.
He would have been a huge blacktail.
Yeah.
But even being that young, he's still really smart. He survived for 3 years, at least, being severely pressured. I mean, this area is getting pounded. And just, being a bow hunter, I just kind of turned my nose up at being, if I would have played that like I had a bow in my hands, I would have killed that buck,
Yeah, go back to basics.
Go back to the basics. I just thought because
just
I
it.
had a rifle, it would have been too easy. Well, humble pie, and luckily it wasn't on a bigger buck. And I think if that was, a huge buck, I probably would have made the extra effort and went down the other side just to be safe. But,
that's hindsight 2020.
Hindsight's 2020. You always know what you should have done afterwards. But I think we saw 40. How many deer did we see that day?
It was in the mid 40s. That's every day was
Yep.
right around there. But it worked out in the end because, not to jump ahead too far, I think you're going to have a better opportunity in November.
Yeah.
But that's later on.
Right. Well, and we're seeing lots of deer. That's day number 1. We're figuring out the terrain, right? I mean, it always looks different in person than it does on a topo map.
And we drove in the dark too, so
yeah. Yep. So we don't get a buck that day. We ended up doing, I think, 11 point something miles. And as soon as you get off, even if you walk the roads, it's still pretty steep. But as soon as you get off the roads, it's serious country.
It is.
So it really tires you out. And fast forward to day 2, we saw 2 bucks. Might as well go back up there. Saw a bunch of deer, and I think we set up the tent. And it's warm, unseasonably warm. And according to all the locals, it wasn't helping anybody out. I don't think we saw. Wait, we saw 1 deer hung up, right?
1, and I was in a T-shirt most of the time, to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah.
Except for we sat down after he was sweating, I was in a T-shirt and
right.
comfortable.
Well, that first night, I think it was like 54 degrees.
Yeah, it got down to
that night.
Yep.
That's it. And then this morning, it got down to probably closer to 20. So just the weather can change so drastically up there. But day 2 is pretty much the same thing. Go out farther because, the farther you go, in theory, the less it's been hit. But I think it's all pretty much been hit out there. And almost right off the bat, we glass up a nice 3-point. I call my dad over, and we wait for him to come over one little more finger to get within range. He's about 400-something yards, and he never shows up. And so we wait. I go off the backside of that ridge where I blew the stock on that 4-point, and we're just glassing. And instead of letting our feet do all the walking, we let the glass do all the walking, and we just start picking deer out, and eventually make our way farther out the ridge. And was it day 2 when
Yep.
we took that lunch under the pine trees?
Yes, Saturday.
Yeah. So you tell them what goes on with your toes, because it's really weird. I've never seen that before.
Oh, I get walking a long ways, and my toes end up losing a bunch of toenails by the end of the season. But this actually happened during the hunt, and so it ripped off and a little uncomfortable.
Your toenail fell off.
But
so we're taking. Okay, here's what happened. We take a lunch under some pine trees. I don't know what time it is. Noon?
Yeah, right at noon.
And I'm still picking out deer while eating, SpaghettiOs, fried chicken, and peanuts. And I think you're actually sleeping. No.
I did take
You did take a little nap.
Yeah.
But then you take off your boot and you pull off your toenail or something like that.
Well, it was hurting, and I pulled it off, and it squirted a bunch of stuff, and then it ripped off.
And I got a picture of it. I'm going to post it when I post this podcast, because I want you guys to kind of see exactly what it was. Gross. The whole toenail came off. I mean, it was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And but apparently that's normal for you. My feet aren't doing much better. I'm not getting blisters or anything, but I got these new crispy, I think they're the Summits, Gore-Tex. And I was excited to try them out and use them. My last pair of crispy Nevadas Gore-Tex, super comfortable out of the box, never had a problem with them. Well, this trip, after day 1, my feet were killing me. It was like both my feet were broken, like the bones hurt. And I was developing some hot spots that throughout the trip they never actually developed into blisters. but they hurt, and then my feet absolutely were killing me. My feet were not agreeing with those new boots I got.
Thank God I had my used ones. My old ones, I had those on too.
Yeah. You switched to your used boots, but so we can say what we want. I think the train kind of was a catalyst for your toenail falling off early, but we're talking about keeping these deer. You kept saying, let's keep the deer honest or something like that.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Well, a lot of times they let you walk by. You can glass all day from a trailhead, and they let you walk by, and you got to walk on them to get them up, and if you don't, they're never going to get up.
Basically, you got to kick them out of their bed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times we saw where we knew there were deer there, and then like that one hunt we did, we knew where there was deer in that drainage, and then, so you're like, "Come on, deer, like, get out of your bed," and you're talking to them, and then finally, after we got past them a little bit, then they jumped up. After they felt that they could get away, and they were holding tight. I think your buck. How close did your buck jump up at?
Probably about 150 yards by the time I saw him. I mean, right there. But
so let's go over that real quick. So you pull off your toenail. It's bleeding all over the place. It's gross. It's disgusting. Your toenail's on a piece of bark. I took a picture of that too.
Thanks.
And I go hit the top of the ridge, and we just had a conversation prior to that, and because I was hurting pretty bad. My feet were killing me. I don't think I had rolled my ankle at this point yet, but my feet were absolutely in agony, and I don't want to keep going over that because I don't want to repeat myself, but they were not doing good. And I pushed myself to go over one little more hump or something, and I think I made a comment, when I have my success, a lot of times it's when I do that one little thing I didn't feel like doing, like going down that one little finger or going over that one little hump to see over that other side, or to get a little bit different angle of that unit that's just really inconvenient, but it's only another 100 yards. Just that little extra effort that usually works out in the end with a dead buck or whatever. And you made that decision.
Yeah, we jumped. Some deer jumped out, but I just wanted to, like Garrett said, keep them honest because we never had seen that buck again. And so Garrett went up ahead of me.
Yep.
And I thought I was going to push something out to him. We didn't know if that buck was there or not.
Well, we had chased some does, accidentally pushed some does through right where that buck was, and so we didn't know if he'd gone out with them.
Yeah.
But you decided anyways, even after your toenail falling off and it being super tender and all that stuff, you're going to go down that steep canyon, side hill it, and then take a steep finger back up to the spine where I was at.
Yeah, and it wasn't pretty, but it was about, we started out probably about 1 or 1:30, going through some thick brush on the side. And so I figured nothing's there because there's no other cover. And it's just grass and extremely steep. And then to my right, it's extremely steep that way. So I've got my gun around my shoulder and my neck because I'm not hunting at that time. I'm just kind of trying to climb out.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden that buck jumps up, must have been in that little patch of brush.
Yep.
And it was as tough a shot as I've ever tried. It was only about 150 yards, 175, but I was completely out of breath because it was steep. I'm old, I'm out of shape. And he was on the other ridge to my right. So I tried my shooting sticks. Well, it was too steep for that. I tried getting on my knees. It was too steep for that. I couldn't rest on anything. So I offhanded at about 100 and probably 160, 170 yards. The only shot I had. And I actually shot, I think, a total of 4 times.
Sound like a little war going off.
But in all honesty, it
was a really tough shot.
It wasn't the range. It was everything else combined.
Right.
And luckily, got 2 in him.
Right. Well, I was on the other side of the ridge glassing at that point because I'm like, okay.
And I woke him up.
You were so far because I saw where you're at. I'm like, okay, there's nothing there because he's already pretty much almost past where that buck would be. And I'm like, I'm gonna go glass the other side. Just about the time I start pulling up my binos, I hear a boom, whop. And I was like, no way. And so I run back over the other side, And I get to watch it all go down, and it was really cool. Luckily, that buck died right on top of the spine, rolled back down about 15 yards, and we were able to drag him back up and be able to quarter him out up top on even ground. But the luckiest spot for that buck to finally pass. It was,
and his horns hung up too. It helped.
Yeah. And he's exactly what you came over there for. You said, I'm going to shoot the first decent 3-point I see.
Yep, and it was, well, maybe the second one, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, it worked out good. Like I said, I was actually through hunting and headed out. I had my rifle over my head and my shoulder, so it was not, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. What gun and load were you using? Because you hand load, don't you?
Yeah, I think I was using 84.5 grain 78-28 with 180 grain AccuBonds in a 300 Weatherby. And apparently it didn't open up well enough.
Which I think I even talked about this on a podcast with Mitch. I've seen that a few times where it's just like a laser beam. Although I do think that your gun got a little bit of expansion because that hole was pretty good size going through that shoulder.
Yeah, I just don't know. Never did figure out where it went or anything. But
I'm not sure if it came out or not because I didn't see the exit wound for that hole. But, I mean, that's just what I've seen with that cartridge.
But I've seen it on Barnes X, too, out of an 8 mag.
Yeah.
But, and in all honesty, Garrett dropped it up there just under the spine or it would have been real ugly. And his made a pretty good hole both in and out. So
SSDs, yeah.
It worked out well. He might have died. Well, he would have died anyways, but
he would have. But
it would have been a deep hole.
He was plenty healthy, going over the hill, and he would have died in the bottom, no doubt.
Yeah,
so,
well,
it was pretty cool. I mean, it was the first time you and I. How long has it been since you and I have got to hunt together? It's like with both having rifle tags in our hands.
You and Mitch were there
4 years ago. 5?
Let's see. 2014, I think, or 13.
Yeah, that's when I killed that nice 4-point, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Man, so it's been a while. I mean, you and I have gone with Kim. You and I have gone bow hunting when you have had a tag.
Yep.
But this is the first time you and I, and just you and I.
No, it was great.
This is the first time. No, this is the first time you and I have got to go hunting with both rifle tags.
15 years.
In 15 years.
I'll bet.
Holy crap! I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you need to be a better son. That's funny shit.
So it was really special for me to have you be able to come along and be able to share hunting out of state for the first time together. That was pretty cool.
It was cool. I wish we'd done it years ago. Was the only thing because I told my wife, I said I put a deposit down on a piece of land over there.
I will tell you, there's a few things that as soon as you hit Idaho, it smells funny because I don't know what they have over there for factories, but as soon as we crossed over into Ontario, it smelled funny. And they drive 80 miles an hour.
Literally.
The speed limits are 80 miles an hour over there. I don't think I've ever covered 60 miles in such short amount of time. I mean, I remember seeing 61 miles to whatever town, and we were there in like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It was like, holy smokes.
And on the way back, I passed a cop with my cruise still in 85.
Yeah, isn't that? Yeah. It was like the Twilight Zone. And I think I fell in love with Idaho.
Yeah, I did. If I could work at AOL and move there, I would in a heartbeat. My wife might not agree.
So we quarter that deer out, and we're on top of probably one of the prettiest spots of the whole mountain. You have an amazing view, and it's really everything a guy could have asked for out of hunting a mule deer and actually successfully getting one there. I mean, you didn't kill it in the bottom of a hole, thank God. And
still beautiful.
You had beautiful pictures. You have plenty of meat. And it was one of the prettiest bucks I have ever seen. He had this black, and I'll post that too, this black chest all the way down into his belly. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it was that was unusual, getting black all the way down there.
Yeah. I mean, I pointed it out when we were gutting them. I'm like, that is really unique. I have never seen that before. Usually it's like that whitish.
Wait a minute. We didn't gut it. I did. You wouldn't do it.
I was a good assistant, though.
Yeah. No, he did good, but
And so we quarter it out, and we're 5 miles in, right at 5 miles in. And even though we were on top of the ridge systems, it still took us 4 hours to get him out.
it was after dark.
Yeah. So we shot that thing at
2 o'clock.
Yeah, and I think we headed out at 3.
Yeah, we got out about right at 7. So that's
about 4 hour pack.
Yep.
Even though it was only 5 miles, and it was fairly easy ground.
We stopped once or twice, or 20 or 40 times. I don't remember.
Yeah. I'll tell you, if it wasn't, like I said, if it wasn't for, and that's when I rolled my ankle, was going down that last mile downhill. My left ankle gave out on me, and that just added on to my problems. My knee swelled up after I stalked that buck. I was on my knees trying to close the distance over the spine, and screwed my knee up doing that. I don't know how. And so we're just both falling apart. Your toenails falling off. I'm spraining and whining about my feet and stuff, and it just turned out to be a suck fest. But
I wouldn't change a thing, though.
No, it just added to the experience. And so we're supposed to, and we get service up there. So I'm looking at the weather. Monday's supposed to be rain. Tomorrow, the third day, is supposed to be nice, and we were wanting to take a rest day on that next day, right? Drive around, explore, maybe go on a few small hunts. Well, after seeing that
forecast,
we changed it to where we're going to hunt the third day, take the fourth day off, and then that'll work out better because we want to make sure that we get the most for our money. Well, we hunted that. Did we go back up that same area again? We did. We went up that same area again the third day.
Well, yeah, Friday is up there. Saturday we killed the bucks. Sunday we went up there again.
Yep, we did.
Monday we went down.
Way down somewhere. I don't even know what it's called. But we went back up there again. Again, we start seeing some elk in there. And this is when we see those hunters that come up the other side. And then also we saw a tiny fork and horn really close to where you killed your buck. And then I spotted a nice 3-point, which I got some cool pictures of, some footage of.
That he wouldn't shoot?
Well, he was in the bottom of that deep, dark canyon where that 4-point went. And
he was a beautiful buck, though.
We're talking about an 18-inch 3-point. About at that point, but as far down the canyon as he was, you're probably 5.5 miles in. It would have took you a day and a half to get him out. A day.
Yeah.
A full day, for sure.
Yeah. And you wouldn't be going archery hunting in November.
And I wouldn't be going archery hunting. He wasn't there what I came for.
I say it worked out well, everything. Yeah. You couldn't ask for more.
Yeah. And so we elected to pass on him. We kept looking, and eventually those elk got spooked by those, I think those other hunters, maybe they got winded by, the elk winded them. Because those elk literally ran right over that deer and pushed him out of that canyon. Yeah. But, so yeah, I mean, it's been one heck of a trip. I got so many pretty freaking photos out of that one drainage we were hunting. It was amazing.
Yeah, and
it was fantastic. I mean, I'll definitely be going back.
Yeah, one thing about it, though, we only saw one other deer hanging, and I know of a fork and horn killed.
Yep. Outside
of that, I don't personally know of any, or I've never heard of any killed up in there.
Yeah. Well, we camped next to some guys that were picky like I was. They really only said they only shoot big 3-points or 4-points. And I think they killed one fork and horn because they had
some gal.
One of the girls come over to camp and kill a fork and horn. But outside of that, none of those guys, I think there's like 6 of them, none of them left with a deer.
They've been there 40 years.
Yeah, they've been hunting that area for 40 years. And then we met another guy who was really knowledgeable. Great, we made a hunt. And then we were walking back to the truck. He offered to give us a ride. We struck up a conversation with him. And he said it was the weather, and it's been, don't let this year fool you. It's a great area. But the bucks aren't here because we haven't got the weather to push them down or something like that.
Yeah.
So
we heard that from other places,
We heard that from everybody. Yeah. And it was just, even without having the deer get pushed down, the deer numbers were outstanding, minus the buck numbers. 2 bucks a day, about 1 out of every 25 deer was a buck, 20 deer was a buck. And then, it was just, I don't know, it was really cool. I really had a great time.
Yep. And, and if a guy wanted to, elk season opens on Thursday.
Yep.
We're coming home on a Tuesday, so you can hang around and hunt deer till Wednesday.
There's a lot of elk hunters coming in when we were leaving.
Yep, and switch gears and start with the elk.
Yeah.
There was a cow hunt going on when we were there, actually, and then it turned into a bull hunt on the 1st.
Yeah, if you had an elk tag, you could have killed one of those cows we saw.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
You probably could have killed the spike Thursday because they weren't going to go very far.
No. So what would be one thing that you would do next time if you had to go back? Or what one thing you'd bring or change?
Well, I would bring my trailer so I could bring a wood stove and firewood because last night got a little cold.
It did.
I would bring gear that if I wanted to spike out for the night or two, that I could backpack in and get up there and wake up at daylight and be hunting right there where I want to be.
That's one thing. Well, granted, it was way nicer than it should have been. I mean, it was practically T-shirt weather almost in November. I don't know if it would be nice enough to actually go backpack hunting in there or if it would make sense if it was a regular year.
And I might go opening day, especially if you kept an eye on the weather, but I might go opening day just because there's going to be more bucks that are there. You know, if you could just have a crystal ball, because like this year, the bucks didn't move in. And opening day, there would have been more deer because there was less shot.
More bucks. Well, we heard 50 gunshots
on Saturday.
On Saturday, and
to
Sunday
the west
there was
of us.
Yeah, Sunday there was a lot of gunshots too. But we thought people were just, man, these Idahoans love to shoot their guns.
Yeah, but I think
they were shooting at deer.
Yeah,
I honestly do. I think, no joke, 50 gunshots. I mean, it was crazy.
Let's see, that was what direction was that? That was
southwest.
Southwest.
Yeah, it was all around us, but mainly southwest. There's probably 30 gunshots just from southwest.
And of course, there was a lot more locals probably showed up on a weekend because they're
Right.
not very far from Boise. So you could almost go there after work and make a hunt somewhere,
Right.
Within reason.
Right. So
so I think a wood stove because you froze your.
I froze my feet off. I mean, it seriously was so cold. Your tent has a little vent though, and I still think that vent was letting all the cold air in, right above my feet.
Yeah, but the tent was inside of it was ice covered inside because we didn't have the heater on or anything.
True.
And when I turned the heat on, it started dripping like it was almost raining inside.
Raining inside the tent.
And my sleeping bag and mattress were damp.
Well, that's something, I heard Aaron Snyder on his podcast talk about getting night sweats after pushing himself too hard. And you pointed out your mattress, just so you guys know how hard, he pushed himself. We both pushed ourselves probably past what we should have, physically exerting ourselves. But you had your bedding, I don't know what, your sleep pad?
It's a roll. It's a bed roll.
A bed roll soaked. And it was like almost like the outline of your body. And it was like, man, I have never seen that before.
Through the sleeping bag.
Literally through it, soaked through the sleeping bag into the sleeping pad. And I've heard of that with people who have extreme overexertion, physical exertion. Their body has night sweats, uncontrollable. Your body sweats throughout the night. And I think that's what that was. That was the first time I've ever seen that.
I'd never heard of it, but I don't know.
I'd never heard of it until the other day when I listened to Aaron Snyder talk about it because he was getting that when he was training or doing something. I forget what it was, but I guarantee you that's what that was. It wasn't like the tent magically dripped in the shape of a body.
And one other thing I'd do is I'm not in great shape. I'm 57, but I would probably try to – I had no idea what to expect. I'd probably try to do a little more to get in shape, although I was nursing a knee for the last month and a half. I would do a little more.
That's one thing I expected to do way better over there. And, I invest in the nice pack, the nice boots, the nice clothing, all that stuff. But I think what was holding me back the biggest was myself. I wasn't training in the areas that I was going to be using in my physical fitness. I wasn't training my legs and my back as much as I should have been. I've been focusing more on arms lately. And I really did feel like that was holding me back. My legs never really were bad. My shins got a little sore. My quads and my thighs, all that stuff was all good. But it was mainly my my calves, my feet. And I think what was going on is that I was asking more of my feet, having a heavy load on them. You only do this a couple times a week, and then you ask yourself to give an extreme amount of physical effort without the training of it, only like a couple weeks out of the year. And I felt like I just need to train better on that area. So maybe do more squats, do some really heavy, stair stepper packs, like put 60, 80 pounds in my pack and then start going to the gym and doing that again, because I used to do that. And I kind of got away from it. And so this really exposed me in an area that I thought I was solid in.
That country will.
Yeah, I mean it was tough country. I'm not going to make it out. I'm not going to make it tougher than it was. I've hunted tougher country, but like I said, when you're not prepared for the hunt, or at least mentally prepared going into it, I think you break easier.
Well, I think we did all right, man, because we started out literally 2 hours before daylight.
Yeah. And we wouldn't get back until about dark or just after dark.
And we would go an extra ridge or an extra whatever it
drainage.
was.
Yeah.
And it did pay off with a buck and seen a couple extras, but
yeah,
without that, you might not have ever, seen what we did.
No, and I don't want to make it sound like we sucked it up the whole time we were there. No, we covered a lot of ground. We were talking to some of the local guys there, and we were telling them what we were doing.
That's a long way.
They're like, wow. They're on bikes and horses, and they're telling us, yeah, we went 6 miles in this area, and then we're like, oh, wow, they went 6 miles, and then we found out, no, they're riding bikes and horses in there.
Yeah.
It's good for them. It's not the same thing. We're at a severe disadvantage to those guys. They were prepared. They've been hunting that area for years. But and they were passing up bucks. They were being selective. I think a lot of people were passing up bucks just because in that area it would be so much work for such little meat if you shot a little buck. I don't think it's probably worth it for most people. I know going into that I would have been happy with that 4-point, but that really wasn't what I came there for.
Yeah, but you don't know. I mean, it's a new experience, and you drive in the dark, totally in the dark, outside of Onyx or go hunt or something.
Yeah.
Or biologist talking to people, but you do the best you can with what information you have. So I think we did really good, not to pat us on the shoulder, but I think you need good optics, lightweight, almost everything, good boots.
That's a good point. My spot and scope, tripod combo, after this hunt, I've packed that thing around on a lot of hunts. After this hunt, I think it's seriously way too much weight because it's probably at least 10 pounds, the combo.
It might be, but lightweight is definitely a key to almost everything. And a rifle can shoot, 300 yards is going to be a close shot most of the time.
Yeah, there was a lot of opportunity to shoot farther than that. I could have shot that one buck at 700 and something, and I guarantee you I could have at least scared him. I mean, my gun's capable of it, but there was just too much wind. I didn't have the practice that I needed to make that shot, and in the end, it's just not worth it. I mean, it's just really not worth it. Why even take a chance at winning a beautiful buck, or any buck in that matter, when you can clearly get within inside 350? I mean, for me personally, that's just not what I came there for. And but I did have the gear where I felt with a good wind I could shoot out to 600.
Yeah, and I'm good 300 or 400 yards. With mine, I don't have the fancy stuff. But,
well, you've been shooting that gun and that load for
20-some
60,000 years.
Yeah, pretty dang close. And then another thing you need is persistence. I mean, and I've said that about you a lot, is, if you lack anything, you make up for it in persistence. And I'm not saying you do, but lack anything. But
geez.
Well, we can get into that later. But just sticking with it and glassing, there was a buck that you picked out that I don't know that 1 out of 1,000 guys would have been able to see it just by the color of hair and a crease on a ham.
Yeah.
Turned out to be a really pretty 3-point. It could have been a huge buck where it was.
I thought when I spotted it, I was like, man, if that's going to be a big buck, this is going to be it. And I watched it for a minute before I figured out it was a deer. Because I'm like, man, that doesn't look like a rock, and it's about 1,200 yards away. And not to pat myself on the back, but I think that is literally the best spot I've ever picked out on a deer. Best actual spot I've ever made.
And we'd already been glassing that for
over an hour, easily over an hour.
And he didn't just walk there and bed down. He was there all the time.
I just kept hammering it with the spot and scope over and over and over again, just saying, you know what, I can see. And that's when I go and glass somewhere, my mentality is that either I'm going to see a deer or I'm gonna see a deer. That's my mentality. I mean,
or it's going to get dark.
Yeah, or it's going to get dark. Like I'm going to see a deer from here. Like if it's that much country, it's just a matter of how good and how much time I spend behind that glass before I spot a deer. And 99% of the time, I will find a deer. And I spotted a doe that was way out in the open that I don't know how he missed. Bedded. Again, she was about 1,000 yards.
Yep.
And then a little bit farther down the ridge, here's this weird-looking rock with the shape of like a ham crease or a leg crease. And so I watch it for literally, no joke, a minute. And then finally I see the deer scratch his butt with his antler or his back with his antler. I'm like, huh, that is a deer. No freaking way. And then I put the spot and scope on it, and I'm like, find the deer. And then you're like, well, I see something that looks like a deer, maybe. And I'm like, just keep watching. And then finally, I think he moved.
Yeah, and I still couldn't get you to shoot it. That was a pretty buck, too.
Yeah, we could have killed that one pretty easily from about 350, 400.
Yeah.
But again, I got everything I wanted out of that hunt without killing a deer. I did. I got a hunt with you, which was, like I said, I didn't realize it had been that long since only you and I had gone on a hunt.
And that was cool. That's one of the reasons. Well, that's the reason I came, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really special hunt for I think for both of us.
Yeah.
Both of us. But watching you, put a buck down with the 300 that you've been using for years. I even thought about bringing the 243 just to see you use that again, but
that'd have been fun.
I didn't have any shells, and I doubt you have any shells loaded up for it.
No, but it was a great trip. Like I said, I think it was an off year for weather. The lakes over there the water line was 100 or 120 foot down from the top,
Yeah.
and the docks were probably
way out of the water.
Way out of the water. So I'm thinking they had a really dry, warm year. The deer didn't come down. It's not an excuse. It's just the conditions.
Yeah.
But even at that, it was still an awesome hunt. And it's so much better than Oregon.
Their general season's better than a
Holy
3-year
cow.
tag, 4-year tag over here.
Yeah.
Easily.
The tags cost a little bit more, but you have the opportunity to shoot a wolf, a bear, if you want. There's elk, at the same time or real close.
I think you can get more than one deer tag, too.
Yep, you can get multiple deer tags. You can shoot a white tail. There's 1,500 tags over there.
Yep.
And they have so many blocked off roads, you could never walk them in probably 10 years. And then you have ATV trails if you want to go that route.
Right.
But
one thing that I like about that, expanding on the ATV, they have ATV areas that are designated for ATVs, right?
Well away from the walking areas.
Well away from. So if you don't have the means or the resources to have the ATV, and you don't want to compete with that because you can't, they have a whole ton of area that a guy can go hunt, get away from the ATVs, the motorized vehicles, and just hunt against guys on horses and on foot. And I just think that is really cool. But the difference is that Idaho has the way more land like that than Oregon does. I mean, there was a lot of people over there, but there was a lot of land. So it really helped spread everybody out.
And it keeps the deer moving, too. So
yeah, it did.
Because it's hard to hunt multiple drainages in a day just because of their sheer size. But if somebody else is hunting and kicks it over into your drainage or vice versa, it's nice to hunt without people, but sometimes people help push the deer too.
That's another thing I would have liked, was to have one or two more people, because killing a deer back there is it's a commitment.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had 3 or 4 guys back there, you could either have one guy come over. You could hunt in pairs. You could have those 2 guys get the buck out. If it's really bad, you could have one or both the other guys come out and help you. And and be way more efficient and start hunting sooner, because if you kill a deer, you're done that day. Like,
yeah,
you're done. You get that thing out of there, and you're going to spend the rest of the day
and you may
doing
come
it.
back the next day, depending. If you kill it down deep enough, you will come back the next day. There's no way to get it out.
Yeah, you could get it out in one trip, but it would suck.
Well, let's put it this way: we only had one campfire over there, and I love campfires, sitting around watching the stars. But by the time we got back and got dinner and
too late,
whatever. Yeah.
Well, you'd spend your first 2 hours in the morning, 2.5 hours hiking before you even got into where you would expect to see a big buck.
Yeah.
And then it'd be 2 hours out because it's mostly downhill.
But like I said, it was cool. I'd do it again. I mean, it just makes Oregon look kind of foolish.
Silly. Yeah. It just makes me, for the friends I have in Idaho, anybody I know in Idaho, I hope you know how good you have it there. General season. You can't really do that for mule deer in Oregon. You can't. I mean, with a rifle. I can't think of very many tags.
That's a better quality hunt than a draw tag in, well, maybe not anywhere in Oregon, but most places in Oregon. That's a better quality hunt general season. And there's a lot of areas. We were just in one small area of one unit.
Yeah.
A small area.
We were a needle prick in a map, and it was already better than Oregon.
And there's virtually hundreds of square miles of that same kind of stuff with limited access or anything.
Yeah. One thing I did notice over there is that people were way more friendly.
They were, too.
And way more willing to talk about what they saw or what they didn't see or where where's a good place to go. I felt like it was more of a community kind of thing over there, and definitely way more friendly. We met one guy over there, shout out to Paul Lewis, who was just the coolest guy and was really encouraging, don't give up, come back with an archery, with archery tag, and be sure to keep hitting it, because they'll show up, they'll be here, and it was just that kind of guy. I mean, really cool guy. And so shout out to him, and that was just pretty much most of the people over there. They were all really helpful.
The group we camped by, we stopped to talk to this one group because we were going to camp across the road in a little aspen patch, and
they hunted as hard as they partied.
Yeah, but they said, well, there's a better camp spot right there ahead of my pickup.
Yeah.
I go, how far through there? Oh, just like 50 yards. It turned out to be about 30 yards.
They wanted us to camp right next to him. He's like, as long as you don't mind us being loud.
Yeah, and they had one or two nights that were like that, but I don't know that we heard it all because we were pretty tired and went to sleep.
They were shut down by 9:30 and in bed by 9:30, which is about 2 hours after dark.
And we were usually gone by the time they started the generator up in the morning.
Yeah.
So we
typically.
I think we heard it once in the morning.
Yeah. Cool guys, though. Super helpful.
Yeah. Had horses, bikes, four-wheelers.
Yep.
Everything.
In Oregon, you compete with those guys for the same areas, and typically they're not riding where they're supposed to be.
Well, we didn't really see anybody going off grid with them like they were.
Nope.
But, man, when you got up high, you could see those trails across the canyon there.
Yep.
And it looked like those trails went on for miles, and I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they did.
But
they did.
It was a great experience. It just really shows a light on how poor Oregon is being managed. Not to get political on it, but, man, I want to move there.
Yeah.
Except for I love my job.
I feel like the guys that live in Idaho are like, dude, shut up. And, we're not going to give the exact spot to, on the podcast out of respect for people that live there. It's how would you like, to have somebody tell where our spot over is in Eastern Oregon?
Yeah.
That's just not fair. But if you do your homework, call the biologists. Not like we did. We called biologists. I called Forest Service guys. I called and texted a guy that I know that lives in Idaho. Just saying, hey, here's where I plan on going. Am I being an idiot, basically? And confirmed. No, that's a good area. You're going to have other hunters there, but you'll have a decent chance at killing a buck. And just making those phone calls, doing the pre-work will save you all the time once you get over there, instead of scrambling and being frustrated and not knowing where to go. I had spots, I'm like, after we got done hunting the area and we weren't seeing bucks, we decided, for the amount of effort we're putting in and the likability of actually running into a buck I would shoot, it's just going to be luck.
Yeah.
And I don't like counting on strictly just luck. I'd like to know that there's a good enough population where if I put in the work, I know that there's a really good chance I'm going to run into what I have. I give myself the best opportunities, right? Well, I don't think I was giving myself the best opportunity after hunting that spot for 3 days. So I'm like, I've got 2 other spots I wanted to go check out. And that led into seeing another little buck, expanding one huge area that was way easier to hunt. And then also meeting another cool dude that was really encouraging and gave me some tips for when I come back.
Yeah, but I think it would have been a different game if they'd had some storms like they usually have by now too. So, but it worked out good. You got to meet I think a good guy, probably
good contact.
A good contact. Maybe
Yep.
you guys can benefit each other, and it'd be a good thing in the long run. But had the weather been normal, that might not have happened. You might have killed a buck, but you wouldn't have expanded anything past that.
Right. And to be fair, I don't think I would appreciate that buck as much as somebody else would have. It wasn't a big buck. I mean, it wasn't. It was a really nice, beautiful.
I shot it.
I know you would have. I'm kind of glad you didn't, because it was in a hellhole. It would not have died on top of a ridge, I will tell you that. But, in another year or two, that's going to be a stud. I mean, if it makes it through the winter, through the other hunting seasons, that is going to be one heck of a buck that is going to make one hunter really happy. He's going to spread his genes. And like I said, I got everything out of that hunt that I expected to get. And I'm happy. I'm coming home 2 days early by choice so I can spend those 2 extra days with a bow in hand when I go back.
I thought you were going to stay with your wife.
And with my wife.
There you go.
And I just had a great time. I mean, it was awesome. And it was made possible because of guys like you that are listening to the podcast, girls, if you're listening to the podcast, the YouTube channel, all this has stemmed, I was going to make a video out of this hunt, but it turned out to be way more demanding than what I anticipated it was going to be. And so I dumped the video camera and left it in the truck because I was trying to save weight and save effort and just try to, maximize the trip there. But this trip was going to be videoed and made into a hunting video that was labeled, something on the lines of how I made, or this trip made possible by YouTube or something like that. Because all the profits that I talked about from one of the previous episodes was done from, YouTube earnings, which...
Yeah, that's cool.
It's super cool. I never thought anybody would ever watch a video of me talking, let alone ever me upload a video on YouTube. And then take it one more step, me ever making $1 on YouTube. Like, I never thought that was even in the realm of possibility. And then when I actually started doing videos on more of me talking and getting away from the products, I had so many doubts that people wouldn't care what I thought or said, because I was relying on products to get the views, right? Like the hype of a product to get a view. And kind of switching into actually using my name, people were kind of following that, and just really blessed, really humbled, never thought it would be possible, and I just super duper appreciate everybody that has followed along on all the other platforms, because this hunt was literally, for me, paid for by the YouTube earnings, and that's because people watch the channel, and I just am super grateful. I just think that's cooler, one of the coolest things I've ever had happen.
And it's just starting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're young, you got a long ways to go.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the biggest things for me when I'm not sure if it was after you listened to the podcast, but I was telling you I was doing the YouTube and I was doing this new podcast thing, and then I think, I was like, I'd eventually like to do this for a living, and I kind of feel like after I'm not sure if you listened to the podcast or not, you said, I get it. I understand what you're doing, and I support you. And I know you always supported me, but after that kind of just gave me the confidence and the motivation to really go for it. After hearing you say that I get it, that really meant a lot to me.
Well, kind of selfish too, because I still want my share of that ranch. But no, after I heard it, I knew that he was meant to do, but he's got a great job with great people right now, but eventually someday maybe it'll work into something, bigger.
Well, all it
sure
is consistency and hard work and making sure that you're creating content that benefits the end user in a way of entertainment, information, or any other way, having content that something the user getting out of it, and making sure that the benefit is on their end, not yours. That's really what I figured out, and so far everything's growing full steam ahead. And I don't know. I just want to say thank you for basically giving me your go ahead. I guess not that I needed it. I was gonna do it. I was gonna do it anyways, but it kind of just put some wind in my sails.
Well, I'm glad, and I hope the stuff you're doing lets other people know that we're average guys with average means, and a very affordable trip, very cheap. Don't wait till you're 57 years old. Don't even wait till you're 27. Start going. Try Idaho, Montana, somewhere else. Because if you like to hunt, Oregon is not your place. Idaho is good. I don't know about any other state, honestly, but I can vouch for Idaho.
Oregon's more of an opportunity state. There's a decent opportunity for a guy that wants to go out and get a buck. But if you're looking for a more quality animal
and quality hunt,
then from my experience, the only other two states I've hunted, Idaho beats Oregon. I mean, straight up. And that's overall quality. And just a little tiny pinprick of the unit of the area of the state that we hunted immediately. That snow wasn't there when we came.
No, it wasn't.
That's fresh snow. It was just really cool. And for guys that are wondering what it costs to out-of-state hunt Idaho, it cost $500 to get your tags and licenses for a general season opportunity.
It's like $470 because you got the extra.
I got the extra archery thing.
Yeah. So
extra
elk's
archery
around
permit.
$700 or something like that.
Yeah, and I bought mine online, which I think added a little bit extra cost, the convenient fee or whatever they called it. I don't know. But it cost me about $505. It cost you $470 something. But I got that $15 archery permit, and I bought mine through the internet. You bought yours over the phone. And then you add in whatever your costs are for supplies and gas. Guys, depending on how far you live, you can do this for easily under $1,000.
Easily under, yeah, probably $700-800.
Yeah, $800 easily.
And if there's four of you, it just gets cheaper. You split the gas, you split the groceries. So
what we've done in the past is, like sometimes me and Mitchell, okay, you bring $200, I'll bring $200.
I used to do that too.
And then we split it at the end of the trip, whatever's left.
Yep, and that's a great one. Although, as an added bonus, you made some of your trip money on the way over.
I did. We have this spot we call the watering hole, and it's 40 degrees right here. I think that's black ice.
I think you're right.
We call it the watering hole, but I think it's actually called the pastime, and it's in Burns there because that's on the way to Idaho. And last time I went there, me and Mitch, we loved to put some money in the slot machines and drink a beer and play some pool and eat some food. And I wanted to do that with you. In particular, I wanted to show you the buck that I tell everybody about. There's this 42-inch wide buck in there. I'm going to hit the brakes here real quick before we die. That it's a monster toad of a buck. And they have pretty decent pizza there and some good fries and stuff. And so we played, and I'm like, I'm going to go put 20 in the slot machine. And then you said, I think I'm going to put $10.
I put, I don't know.
$5.
$5.
You put $5.
And I made $11.60.
And you were tickled.
Well, I quit.
And that same mentality is the same mentality you took hunting.
Yeah. It's like, I got my goal, I'm done.
So I went through $20 in about 3 minutes. I put another $20 in there, and then I hit for 110, and then I cashed out. So I was up $70. Put 20 towards the food, not included a tip. I left $50 ahead.
I only did one spin on mine and quit because I won. I wasn't betting very much.
That's funny. But yeah, that was cool. Got to watch a little football while we were there, and talk to some other guys that came back from Idaho who killed a buck in a bull.
Yep.
And I don't know. It just turned out to be there's a lot of snow up here.
There is.
It turned out to be a really great trip. I mean, outside of maybe a few physical shortcomings. And yeah, I'm talking about myself. It was really a great trip, and like I said, it's been way too long since you and I both had rifle tags in our hands, or at least just got to hunt by ourselves. I mean, 15 years.
Yeah.
Has it really been 15 years? It's been at least.
I'll bet it has.
No, you're right. I think it's been 14 years because I was about 15 when I killed that 4x6. No, 4x6. Yeah.
It's been a while, but
Yeah.
and maybe next time you can pick another state just to see what that state's like. I'm just saying.
Well, I think California might be next.
No.
Because they have some really big blacktail and some good. They have some good mule deer hunting, pretty close to home. So. But, all right, guys, well, we're going to wrap this thing up. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will definitely be doing a recap of the late-season archery of Idaho when I go back over. But, get out, start these new adventures. It's probably not as much as you'd think, $700. We easily had a $700 worth of time, great time. I mean, 5 days, or how many days did we hunt for? 4?
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yep, 4 days.
4 days, and we're coming back early, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, I seriously had a great time, and I got everything achieved that I wanted to do, minus killing a big buck, which, I'd rather do it with a bow anyways. So
yep, that'll work out good.
It'll work out great for me. But, all right, guys, well, as always, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody, that is this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you, Dad, for joining me onto the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And as always, guys, if you like something about the podcast, leave me a review on iTunes. Let me know what it was. If you didn't, leave me a review on iTunes. Let me know what it was. I'm always happy to hear the good and the bad, the ugly, and always get yourself entered in these giveaways. 5-star reviews get you entered in some of the new hats, stickers, decals that I have coming out. We have the Elk Calling Academy that we have partnered up to give you guys 2 free lessons to 1 lucky listener. So that's a $60 value that you're going to get if you're definitely wanting to help your elk hunting game, learn a little bit more about how you can be more effective in the elk woods next year. Definitely want to get involved with that. We're also going to have some ways to qualify on Instagram for that one. But definitely get yourself entered in these giveaways, guys. It's free. It's easy. And definitely worth it. So, as always, thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.